Yo, what's going on, everybody? So, it took a little bit of time. I know it's been a few weeks since I put out the episode 1. So this is going to be episode 2, obviously. And I got everything I needed. So, I've completely disassembled the block here. And, I've got it completely disassembled. Except for the cam. The cam is still in there for now. That's going to be a whole nother video. As of right now, we're just going to worry about freshening up this motor, and we're going to ignore the cam at this point. It is set where it needs to be, so we're just going to ignore it and do everything else that we need to do. So that being said, let's take a look at what we got. Alright, so let's see, where do we start? Right here. So we got the head gaskets. I went with the LS9 head gaskets, actually. These are 7-layer, I do believe, or they're more layers than what the standard one is. So I went with that. Hopefully it doesn't mess up. It is a bit larger on the bore, but it's not by much. Some people use them. Some people say not to. Some say you use the size that you should use. People that use them have not had any issues. And I actually ordered the regular one, but when I got it, it said something about being LS9. Yeah, head gaskets. So I did actually order the 6-liter ones, but for some reason I did not get the 6-liter ones. But hey, these will work though. So the first thing we're going to be dealing with today is, because this is what is going to set everything up ready. So this is going to get the cylinders ready, because I got the 4-inch ball home. Alright, so next we also got the tapered ring compressor. So I've never used one of these, but we're gonna give it a shot. I mean, it was like 35 bucks for one, and I mean, you can go and get those really thin metal ones that you kind of ratchet together. I got one at one point, and the problem is they don't work that well. They work in a pinch, you know, if that's all you can afford, but you got to watch out for some of the rings when you're using them, because it won't compress some of the bottom ones the way it needs to. And maybe it was user error, could have been, but this one should not be the problem. Also, rear main, obviously brand new rear main. We're going to be refreshing it. Got to replace some gasket. So something I learned about just recently. So on these LS motors, there is a bypass. Basically, they call it a barbell, and that's basically what this is. Hang on, let me get it out for you. So what you got here is the barbell. So this will go in, this will be the outside of the motor, so this will go in like this. This one is billet. They normally are plastic that are in the vehicles themselves, but yeah, this one is going to be billet, so it should be good. It has a little screw here, so I can actually take it in and out pretty easily. What's up, Michael? What up? So that's going to be fun. That's a good upgrade. Obviously some plastic gauge, some assembly lube, things like that, because we're going to be doing bearings. Got main and rod, and got the pistons. This is the reason why we got the ball hone. If we were going to stay with the original piston rings, we wouldn't need to hone out the cylinder walls, because it's already the way it needs to be. But because we're going with new piston rings, we need to go ahead and freshen up those walls, because it needs to be able to seat and everything. So that's the reason why we have the ball home. Obviously, anytime you're putting in a new motor into your LS swap, you want to go ahead and replace the water pump, especially if you just pulled it out of a junkyard. You don't know what's in there. Let me show you what the pistons look like from this motor real quick. Alright guys, so you're probably wondering why we're going to go into a motor. You bought it, it looked good, it probably came out of a wrecked vehicle. You may have thought, okay, well, it didn't come here because it blew the motor. But that's, mine was messed up too, and that's what I was thinking. But let me show you what a dirty one looks like real quick. So this is what they look like. As you can see, each one of these this is where the oil actually, after it's scraped, it runs back down these right here to get back out, and they're almost like completely filled in. And I mean, and you can see inside there, it's just nasty. Here, let me get a light on it, because it's really kind of hard to see. Yeah, it's really kind of nasty, and it needs to be cleaned. And when it's this bad, somebody did not take care of their vehicle. And so if it's bad right here, you can only imagine the other places that it's actually as well. The heads were nasty. So this is what a clean one looks like. So, you know, I'm not expecting it to get, you know, nice and shiny, but, you know, all the galley, all these little oil drains or whatever, they're all cleared out now. It's all, you know, nice and clean. So, as you can see, they were pretty bad, and that's the reason why I'm replacing so much stuff. I actually got lifters coming and everything because the person who had it before me just did not care. They didn't love their truck at all. They just ran it without changing the oil. That's why you got to change it every 3,000 or 6,000 miles, depending on what kind of oil you use. So that's why I'm replacing all this stuff, and that's the reason why we're going through this, is because you're getting a motor out of a junkyard. Sure, they say it's tested and works fine, but they don't know what's inside it, you know? They're not taking it apart looking in there. Some of them bore scope them, but that only tells you so much. I mean, it's going to tell you the top of what the piston looks like. But this right here, so obviously oil pan gasket, new pickup tube, because we are going to go with the LS swap oil pan right here. So as you can see, this one is different. I'll show you how it's okay. So this obviously is the LS swap one, and this one is the truck one. Now the reason why I'm deciding to go with this one opposed to this one, because I originally had one like this one. This is the one off of the 6-liter. That's the reason why it's so dirty. But this one actually hung down about that far below the like from right about here down, was hanging out below the frame. And you know, any kind of good bump, anything happen, oil pan's the first thing that's going to get hit. If you don't plan on lowering it or anything like that, I mean, you can get away with using this. It fits, especially if you notch it. It fits fine. But I wanted to go something, you know, a bit more, because I plan on lowering it a little bit, kind of, you know, lowering the center of gravity. So this is the reason why I went with this one. And as you can see, it is nice and lower, and it should work out pretty good. I'm hoping that this notch right here doesn't affect where I've already notched it on the frame, but we'll find out. You know, that's kind of part of it. If it doesn't, we'll get the grinder out and we'll hack it up some more and put in some more metal. We'll be fine. It ain't gonna be nothing. It'll be all good. Let me get this nasty thing out the way. All right. So one other thing we also got is obviously an oil pump. So this is the new one. Let me show you what the old one looks like. This is the old one. As you can see, it looks rough. Very, very rough. You can see it's caked up inside here, somewhat, maybe. Huh? Nope, maybe not. Yeah, anyways, it's dirty. So dirty. That's the reason why I'm changing so much of this out. It's just so freaking bad. I mean, look at this. This was just the timing chain cover. Look how nasty that is. I gotta clean up all of this garbage or buy a new one. We're gonna go the budget route. We're probably just gonna clean this up. I got a bunch of brake cleaner, and we're probably gonna go that route. And I'll replace the seal as well. All right, so what I've got done so far, I've actually gone ahead and fully prepped the surface here. So when you're doing this, just you gotta think, this is gonna hold back, you know, water, you know, all the pressure and everything like that. So you're gonna want to go ahead and get this thing nice and cleaned off. Sure, I mean, if you have the money and can afford it and take it to like a machine shop to have them completely redo the block, you know, obviously that would be fantastic. But not everybody has that ability. Like, I didn't have that ability either. So what we're actually going to do here is, or what I did here, I used just the scraper, you know, and take, like I said, take your time. You're going to find, like, in some of these spots where it's like the carbon's built up really heavy and stuff like that. So you're just going to sit there and just be gentle with it. Like, there's actually a little bit right there that I missed. And that leads to my next thing. If you're done with it, walk away from it for a little bit. Come back. Or have a friend look at it. More than likely they'll find something that you missed. There's nothing against you. It's just you're trying to get all of it. You want it as smooth and clean as possible. So one other thing that helps is just a little sanding pad. Now this is a 400 grit, so it's really light. It's not taking off any of the actual material. It's just helping clean the gasket off. Like you'll have some like rust build up right here sometimes, and so you'll come over here and you'll help clean that up, and then you know you can just run it across like this. You're not taking off any of the metal at all, so don't worry about that. It's literally just to take off, and you're going to do light pressure all over it. So it's just helping taking off that gasket material that's left over sitting right here. Now if you have the ability to have a long one of those sanding bars that you can sit there and go across big sections of it, oh yeah, do that if you can. I mean, I couldn't find one, so I'm having to settle with this right here, but it's done a good job. But okay, so what we're actually going to go ahead and do is we're actually going to go ahead and hone these cylinders here. That's where we're going to use the ball hone at. And what we're going to do is we're going to oil up each one. You know, we're going to do it one at a time, but each one we're going to oil it up really good, especially on the first one. We're going to oil it up and the ball hone up really good, because it's going to sit there and it's going to absorb a lot of that oil, like I was saying. So until you get that absorption into it, it's going to take some time. And I'm not an expert at this, so I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not exactly telling you what to do. So what I have read to do is to just, you know, up and down as fast as you can, about 40 to 60 strokes, and have the drill, if you can, set it to about 800 RPMs, but try to keep it generally in that area. So that's what we're going to try to do. I'm going to use a corded drill. So let me see what I got. Okay, so I've already done the other side, and it's consistent. It's consistent all the way across. I'm not sure if it's exactly 45 degrees, which what 45 is what, like that, or 45 is what, I don't know. Yeah. So what I've done is I've already heavily oiled this in here, and by now my dingle ball, as I like to call it, has gotten to the point that it is oiled up itself. So and the way I oiled it up was I took one of these rags and got it oily, and I basically just put it over it to allow the oil to kind of soak into it some at first. That way it's not dry going on. And then I also went with a like 10W40 because it's thicker and it's a little cold out here. Not cold, but enough that it sticks around for a little bit. So now, when you're doing this, I've already done this side. I just want to go ahead and show you what's going on. You're going to do it about 40 to 60 strokes. Strokes being, you know, one stroke down, one stroke up, one stroke down. So basically you'll go, you know, if you count to 20, counting up and down, then you're going to be good. And do it as fast as you can. So you're going to be worried about it, but it's going to be fine, I promise. And make sure you get a good drill. I recommend one that has some sort of style that you have to like really tighten down with, because I tried using another one and it just like basically just, you know, cleaned up, or kind of like smoothed out the thing here. And yeah, just go ahead and get one of these that's nice and strong. This one is just strong enough. Now, like I said, I already did it, but so you're going to do that about 20 times, counting the up and down stroke as one. Okay, so yeah, see, as you can see, you got some good cross hatching. So you can compare that to that. See that? So what happens is over time, those piston rings that were originally in here smoothed out that wall. Originally it looked just like that too. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue on and do this one, this one, this one. Like I said, I've already done those right there. Like I said, this is necessary in order for the new piston rings to seat properly. And I mean, you can not do it. It's up to you. If you just don't feel that confident in it, just keep your original rings. Remember that I was talking about the oil bypass? So that's the hole right there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take that little bypass. So the big end's going to go in first, but we're going to go ahead and just a little bit of this assembly lube on here because it's nice and slick. Just a touch. Ooh, that is sticky. Doesn't have to be a lot. It just helps the O-ring glide in there. And then yeah, we're just gonna like and should go in one last little bit. Yeah. There it goes. Ha! Yeah. So, she is now in there, and it has a little screw hole here that you can use to actually pull it out. So, that'll be nice. Alright, so what we're going to do is go ahead and check the clearance of our bearings real quick. Make sure everything is, you know, good to go. And so we got this plastic gauge, and the way it works is we'll actually take a piece of this here, and we'll get it roughly about the size of this right here. And so you just take it, you just lay it right across there. Dead center. And so what we'll do is we'll tighten down that cap. We got the new bearings in, got new bearings here. So on these particular ones, the dots right here actually go right here until the very last one, and then they're opposite. It's weird, but that doesn't matter. So what we'll do is we're gonna put this in. Alright, so we'll make sure it's nice and seated, and then we'll go ahead and get our bolts out. So you got the inner ones, which are these, and then you got your outers, which are those. And so we'll go ahead and tighten these down, hand tighten it first, and then I'll have to look and see what the torque specs are, but I'll definitely post it right now at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so I actually forgot to record that. So the inners right here, the two inners that don't have studs, those are 15 foot-pounds, and then after you do that, then it's 80 degree turn, 80 degrees that you have to turn it. And then these are also 15 degrees or 15 foot-pounds, and then they're 53 degrees that you have to turn. Now I had that one was interesting. I had to guess that one. But now that they're done, I can actually pop these off and actually take a look and see what I got here. So, when you're going to remove these things, they actually have a tool that you can actually use to pull it off, or you just get two medium-sized extensions and then just boom. And so then we measure this clearance. It's about 0.002, which is an acceptable level. I think they say it's like 0.011, and honestly, these tend to be a little tight or a little loose. So I'm not too overly concerned with that. I'm gonna roll with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull this back out, put assembly loop down, and go ahead and torque all these down. That way I got this back in, then I can get the pistons in, and then I can go check the clearance on those as well. Alright, so I've actually got 6 of the pistons in so far, and I am working on the final 2. One thing to note when you're putting these pistons back in, hopefully you noted it when it came out, but the dot, as you'll see here, the dot always faces towards the front of the vehicle. So as you can see, a little dot right there, it's always going to go that way. Even on that side, the dot always going that way. Alright, so while you're doing this, you're going to want to use some sort of assembly lube. This stuff is like super sticky, so you can basically put this stuff on. I've already put some on the crankshaft itself, and so yeah, you can see how sticky it is. It is super sticky, but that's good though, because whenever we go to install this piston, now this is the reason why I like these tapered ones. Now those ones that you wrap around it, like I said, they work, but this, I really like this. Like I said, I've never used one until today, and so you just want to line, kind of get that dot somewhat kind of, you know, in the middle of right here, and you know, get it basically started to that point, and then take a nice rubber. I use my little dead blow hammer right here, and boom. So that's that one. So I'll hang that right there, and then we will hold this. There we go. That's on the crank. Now let's go ahead and do that other one too. So once again, assembly lube on there like that, and smear it around. Like I said, there's already some on the crankshaft itself too, so you don't have to go crazy with it. And remember, dot towards the front. There we go. Oops, I don't know what I just hit, but it's alright. Alright. Line that up. And boom. Now we just got to line up this. There we go. Now what we'll do is we'll flip this over. Alright, so when you're putting these caps back on, you'll notice that there's numbers right here along this side, and then on this one there's also numbers right here. I found that those actually they have always lined up the way they're supposed to actually be, because there's a certain way that each one of these caps is supposed to go on each individual piston. That's why you're supposed to keep track with them on each individual piston. That provides you, you know, because that's the one that is the one it's supposed to go to. Don't mix them up, it will not work. Now also make sure you clean, you know, the surface underneath the bearing as well, because you want it to be seated well onto there. You don't need any assembly lube underneath the bearing, you only need it on the top side of the bearing. Okay, so when torquing these down, it's going to be the first pass. So if you have a Gen 3, it's going to be, actually, you know what, I'll just put it in the description. That way you can see it. There's not a lot to it, but there's 2 passes that you'll make. So on this particular one, we're going to do 15 foot-pounds and then 75 degrees turn. Now, like the other ones, we don't have the way of seeing, so we're guessing. But I mean, if you know how angles work, you know what 90 degrees looks like. You can kind of get close. You can get pretty dang close. Now, do I recommend you getting one? Yeah, absolutely. I meant to get one today, but yeah, I failed to get one today. Next, like I said, we're gonna do 75 degrees iron. I get to use my new breaker bar. I'll tell you what, I picked this breaker bar up from Harbor Freight. This big old, I guess 2-footer. I don't know. It works great. So what I do is, so basically a 90 degrees is right here, right? So brace the stand so it doesn't go anywhere. And then you just bring it roughly about 75 degrees. It's not going to be exact. You're obviously going to be better off with the actual tool. So it's roughly about 75. I'm curious as to how accurate it is though. But that's all the pistons. They're all now back in. And yeah. So I can actually... Okay, so it's actually been a few days. I had to get a few more things. I had to get a special jar of pickles here. My original lifters here, as you can see, nope, you can't. There you go. Oh, there you go. You see how nasty they are? They look pretty nasty. So what I ended up doing is I just went and got some new ones. So yeah, now you do not have to do this. You do not have to soak them. Like I got to thinking about it. Mine are going to just be sitting there for a little bit. So all this soaking was actually for nothing. They're going to drain out anyways. But I was just letting this finish dripping. But, so, can you tell which one is the clean one, which one's the dirty one? Hang on, actually. So, as you can see, new one, old one. So, I figure with everything that's being replaced, why reuse the old lifters that actually were a pain in the butt to get out. So, what I'm going to do is going to toss these in. Now, I had this soaking. It was actually turned out to be a good thing because they actually had it coated. There's a little hair there. They actually had it coated in something, and while I was sitting in there, it actually bled out. So let me show you. That thing is cold. So cold. So, whew. I don't know if you can see it, but see all that stuff at the bottom? That was all inside there because this thing was a clean jar. And all we did was put the lifters in there and the oil. So maybe it's not good to soak them. Maybe you don't have to, but you see what all came out of some brand new lifters that when I got them, they were already pre-oiled. So I mean, that seems like that'd be a good reason to do that. So like I said, we're gonna go ahead and pop these in, and then yeah, then we'll go ahead and get the studs put. Well, they actually say to put the heads on and the gaskets. Now, I've actually gone ahead and sprayed my head gaskets with the copper spray. Just because I didn't get my heads decked or anything, actually cleaned up. I just cleaned them up really good. Typically, if you get your heads decked and your block decked, you will not need a copper spray. I'm doing this as a bit of an insurance. I didn't do it on the 5.3, and it turned out fine. But just in case this one's, I care a little bit more, so I was gonna go with the copper spray just for that sake. You'll see whenever I bring it out. All right, so this is where I'm at. First off, if you hadn't seen, find what I need to find here. So first off, if you hadn't seen, there's this here. So this was one of the head studs, and it was probably a combination of a bad torque wrench, Chinese studs, and improper installation. Because as you can see, this washer is the way it is. It's down like that, and what's actually supposed to be is it has this lip right here, and that lip is actually supposed to go into the aluminum, I do believe. I think that's where I messed up. So I got some new ones coming, some better ones. So, but the oil pan. So this is the LS Hot Rod Swap oil pan, and it doesn't, like, as you can see, it's got about about 3/8 to a ½ inch gap up front, and what's happening is it's actually hitting this section of the windage tray. So what I got to do is come in basically and just chop it off, all this front little piece right here, because then it'll allow this to go properly where it needs to be, because I'd actually hammered it down, but it was not enough because it's still hitting all of this right here with the oil pan. So I got to chop this off right here, and that'll make that work. And then I can actually put this on, and I'm actually waiting on those studs to show up as well so that I can go ahead and roll this motor over and take these studs out and clean up the heads again, because I've copper coated the head gaskets. So that means I got to clean them up, and the head up, or the cylinder, the engine up. Yeah. So let me get the. It's cold. It's for some reason in this garage. It's like it could be 40 degrees outside, but in the garage it'll be like 20. It's so weird. It holds the cold, but it doesn't hold the heat. Alright, so just like that, I took a simple LS truck windage tray and converted it into a LS1 windage tray, basically. So I lopped off the end over here that would have bolted up to this point right here. I left a little bit right here, not too much. It doesn't, it's not going to impact anything right here. So the question is, will the oil pan fit now? Alright, so previously the front of this was actually hitting, so we may actually still have to do some trimming here. So actually no, I think we're good. Yeah, Yeah. Look at that, Michael.
You got it figured out?
Yeah. She looks like she sits nice and flat now. I gotta try it with the tube on, but it wasn't hitting the tube. It was hitting the windage tray. So, but yeah, it looks like that's gonna work. So now I just gotta put this on, torque it down. Still waiting on the studs to show up. They say they're gonna show up today. So hopefully we can go ahead and flip this over and get those heads put on properly. Alright, so one of the most overlooked things to get replaced whenever you're doing your engine, we've already replaced the oil pump right here. Yeah, I said that really weird. But one thing I didn't do before I installed that, which has been a theme of this, is doing the timing chain. So I actually have this here kit from Cloy's. I guess that's how it's said. Yeah, got new gears, new chain, yeah, all that good stuff. So yeah, I think that's everything. Yeah, that's all of it. So because we left it when we disassembled everything, we left all of this in a specific area. I may have turned this around though since then, but it's really easy to put it back. We'll line up here. It's easier with the clean one than it is with the dirty one. So what we're trying to do is you see the dot there and the dot there. We want those. There we go. We want those lined up perfectly, just like that. So that's what we're gonna do down there on that one, so that once we go and crank this up, timing is perfect. So if you do not see them, clean off the gears so that you can see what's going on here, because that is very, very necessary. All right, so there we go. There she goes. She's in. So these are 18 foot-pounds, and those two in the back are actually 106 inch-pounds, or pound-inches. It's not the foot-pounds. So let's see. Okay, so after doing a little reading and converting, these are going to be 9 foot-pound. That's crazy. On the 5.3, I thought it said 106 foot-pound. I torqued these things down to 106. That would make sense why it leaked a little bit, maybe right there. But yeah, it's only 9 foot-pounds. So it might be better off to go ahead and get a 1/4-inch drive, because the 1/4-inch drive will actually go down. Because the way torque wrenches work, like the big one, you're not going to be you can't use it under 40, and then the 3/8 one, you can't use it above a certain point as well. Yeah. All right, so after a little bit of setbacks, as you saw with the broken head stud, one other thing that is going to set us back just a little bit is this oil pan. This one right here, the one that we're talking, the one that's going to go on here. It's about a 1/2 inch longer this way, and then it's also an inch wider, you know, this direction. So the notch that is in the truck right now is going to have to get widened, which that just means, hey, I get to show you a good way of doing it and welding it up. And I've been kind of wanting to do it because some of the metal that I had available to me when I originally boxed it in wasn't as thick as what the frame is, and so that's kind of one of the, it's kind of nice, because I was going to want to cut that out anyways, so this kind of gives me an excuse to do that now. That just means we won't be fitting it in yet, but I was able to use a measuring tape and figured out everything with that. So, but what we're going to do today is we're actually going to go ahead and put these heads on. I've got one on, obviously, and did not break a head stud, so good for me. Yeah. No, I'm not knocking on no wood, Michael. Michael's over there making this garage stink. So
not me.
He's not farting. Let me just put that way. It's the motor. It's the engine. He's not over there passing gas or anything.
I hate Honda.
It's just that it smells like somebody didn't love it, and
freaking old.
I mean, a lot of Honda drivers, not all of them, but a lot of Honda drivers don't like their car. Or at least they don't care about maintaining it, I should say. They probably love their car.
Yeah. People that don't maintain their car don't have to ride the bus.
Alright, so once we have the head on, as you saw, I actually copper coated the heads because I did not get the heads finished, which normally you would do that, but around here the wait time is crazy. So if you're not going to get that done, clean them the best you can and copper coat them. That way they'll help with any imperfections that you have. At least that's my understanding.
That's what we was told.
Feel free to go in the comments and correct me. I don't mind. But that was my understanding. And I mean, it can't hurt. You know, just a light coating. Can't hurt. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to install these head studs, and screwing them into the block. You're actually only going to finger tight those. You're not torquing them there. They're not designed to be torqued like that. It's not what I messed up on, but there's a piece of something blue here and right here. And Michael just threw something at me. Anyways, they're designed for like whenever you tighten them down, they're pulling up, not the twist part. So that's why there's a certain way to install all this and not just tossing things together. And I mean, I thought I was doing right when I first installed them, but yeah, I got those Chinese ones and they didn't really have any instructions, so I basically had to just guess at first. But these are different, only mildly. I ain't got much left on this. Alright, so I was talking about how to properly do these. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about here. I don't know if I can show you. I can try to explain it. So, these washers have two sides to them. There's a side that has a lip to it that kind of like I fully expect you to dig into the aluminum, and then there's a smooth side where you want the nut to actually touch. But you want this side completely clear of any oils. You also want the contact point on the heads completely free of any oils, so that they stick to that and don't budge. And then we'll actually be applying some assembly lube on the bottom of the nut and into the threads so that we got a nice slick surface. So let me go ahead and clean these up because they sent them very, very oily. So okay, so on our first pass, what we're going to do is we're going to torque it down to 35. Now, yes, this is a cheap one, but at these lower torques, I'm okay with the cheaper one. It's at the higher torques that I don't trust the cheap ones. I want something that's a bit more accurate once I get up there. This is only going to 35, so let's go ahead and you know how this works. Okay, alright, so we are done with that one, and always with these, release all the tension on them. I just learned that recently myself, actually, because there's internal tension. But on this one, this is the new one. I thought it was digital before I opened it up, but it's not. This is the Icon series from Harbor Freight. Yes, it is still Harbor Freight, but this one is much nicer. It is a split beam, and it goes up to 250. It does not go lower than 40, but honestly, anything up to about 50, I'll use the smaller one, and then from 50 up, I'll use this. So this one's already set. Some people say the final torque should be 70. Some say 80. Well, I'm gonna break it down the middle, and I'm gonna do 75. And that one. All right. So that is all of those. And next, what we're gonna do is now we have the ones across the front. Okay, so now we have the ones across the front. Now these are very easy to torque down. They're only gonna go to 28 foot-pounds. But first, after tightening them down, they are an 11 millimeter. But you're gonna need to, after hand tightening them, you're gonna have to tighten them down just a touch more. So when we're doing this, start right here. Doesn't matter if you go to this one next or this one next, just go boom, 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 boom. You know, just alternate sides. Alright, so what we're going to do now is actually basically torque down each one of these rocker arms. And the way we're going to do that is, it's really simple. You're going to want to have it at top dead center. And because we recently did the timing chain, it is exactly top dead center at this present moment. So that is the perfect time to do this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start. Actually, I have to keep this up because I don't remember the exact one. So I'm actually following off of a forum page, and I'll link the forum in the description, so you can also go in there and check it out as well. But I'll also put the pattern in the description just so that also. So what we're going to do is, because it's at top dead center, we're going to tighten the exhaust rocker valve arms on cylinders 1, 2, 7, and 8. And we're going to torque them down to 22 foot-pounds. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to have the pattern down there in the description, so you don't have to sit in here and watch me go through all of these. I'm going to go ahead and torque down these. So after I get done going through this pattern, I'm going to turn the engine over 360 degrees and then do the other ones that I did not do. And then I'm going to turn it over 360 degrees and I'm going to check the ones that I already did. And then I'm going to do another 360 and I'm going to check the ones I did then too. So I'm going to double, triple, quadruple, all kind of checks. So I'll be right back. All right, so we got everything done now. This thing works great. I mean, it's coming back together. Got the studs in. I went ahead and put all the sensors in, except for this one. This one will get replaced. Got to go with a single wire on that one, so it is more compatible with the dash. Got new knock sensors, new knock sensor harness, new crank sensor, this is a new cam sensor, obviously. Let's see. Yeah, man, there's a lot of new stuff on here. The new gasket back here, rear main seal still has to be put on, but it's kind of hard to do it with it right here. Got the new front seal on, which is, like I said, is one most people forget about. New gaskets, new timing chain, timing gear. You know, it's so much new stuff on this thing. It's just crazy. So, but to top it all off, let me see. My hands are kind of dirty. Ooh. Wrong one. Wrong one. Hang on. Bam. Man. That's going to look good. I just got to put the gaskets on it. They are hanging up. I'm going to reuse the ones from the 5.3 because they were brand new when I got them. Alright guys, so that's it. Yeah, she is done. Look at her. I gotta get a look at that. Yeah, she's looking good. Not the best paint job, but I did what I could in the cold. But yeah, now the intake manifold is not gonna go on until she goes in. I never have the intake manifold on when I'm putting the motor in. It just gets in the way. Typically in this general area there is some sort of hoisting mechanism. So, and I'm not sure if I'm going to go back with the truck oil fill tube or if I'm going to go with like the LS or, yeah, I'm thinking I might go with the shorter one. But other than that, yeah, like I said, there's not really anything else. I mean, yeah. Like I said though, I can't put this motor in at this point because of that oil pan. And that it will be the next video coming up, which I should be starting working on that here very shortly, probably this weekend though, and maybe not this weekend because I am on call. So if you don't want me to have to be, you know, working all the time, which I don't mind it, to be honest with you, you can go ahead and hit that like, subscribe button. If not, hey, it's cool. Hey, no biggie. Keep doing what we're doing and enjoying life. Alright guys, so that's it. I will probably not going to put the water pump on until it's in the car. Just something to it's just something that's going to get in the way if I put it on now. I'm not even going to be putting the accessories on at this point. So like I said, I'm going to leave that. It's right there. Brand spanking new one. So like I said, going to end it here. And I just appreciate every last one of y'all for putting through, you know, all the weight and everything like that. I promise at some point it will get better. Well, probably when it's not so cold out here. It's kind of cold. So, yeah, very soon we'll start producing them regularly again. So, thanks, guys.